Hello, what's going on everyone, and welcome to a brand new video. And what we're basically going to do in this video is to build this dream interpreter chatbots. Okay, and I'm doing this just because I want to basically show you guys how you can actually utilize that of the ChatGPT API model to be able to build your own personal application that you can actually use to solve some problems. Okay, and I thought of actually building something like a dream interpreter app with that. Okay, so it's really very simple. This is the UI. You can actually redesign it to your own taste, but we're going to basically use this to experiment with what you want to do. So this works in such a way that I can actually type a dream in here. Let's say I'm going to put one of the dreams that I have in here, which says I was flying in my dream without a wing. I think that's just what I type in there with no wings. Okay, and then we can actually go ahead and then send the application. The dream right here. If I hit on send, it's going to take the dream and put it right here. But then within a few seconds, it's actually going to send that to ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT is actually going to interpret that and then send us back that response. And all of this basically happen without a page refresh. Okay, so we're going to be utilizing a little bit of Ajax in this tutorial. Okay, so if you take a look at the response from that of the ChatGPT down here, you see it says flying in a dream is a common and then powerful symbol that typically represents a sense of freedom, liberation, and transcendence. In this dream, the absence of a wings suggests that the user is experiencing this freedom and sense of empowerment without any external help or support. Okay, so you can basically take your time to read this. Okay, so let's think of another dream right here. Let's say I saw myself in a farm in my village, like that. Let's go ahead and send that, and it's going to take that, and then within a few seconds again it's going to actually process that and then send us the response back. All right, so it has actually taken a look at that. If you see, this is my own prompt. This is what I added in. And then it's saying that dreams set in a familiar locations like your own village often reflect elements of your personal history, upbringing, and then cultural influences. Being in a farm can symbolize aspects of nourishment, growth, and a connection to nature. The farm may represent a sense of rootedness and stability in your life. Okay, so that's just basically the interpretation that is actually coming back to us from that of the chat GPT. And I think that that's just really true, guys. So if you take a look at that, I think that interpretation is really true. Okay, I know that quite a good number of people have different interpretations for different dreams. Okay, but this is a more generic or more general way to actually interpret a dream. Okay, so if you take a look at that, so this is just simply what we're going to be building. We are just basically getting all of these things that we have in here right from that of the chat GPT. Okay, and then you can actually take this, whatever lesson you learn from this, and then build anything. It could be a script that maybe is going to actually teach you something like programming. You can build that your own, just like a pocket chat GPT on your own. Okay, so just what that is. Okay, so without wasting more time, let's dive right in and then see how we can actually put this kind of application together. And I hope that it's actually going to open your eyes to knowing how to use that of the chat GPT. So let's go to our development environment and do that. So first of all, we're going to create a new folder right here for the application we want to build. So let's say that this is going to be something like, let's say it's going to be let's say chatbot 2, like that. So the first one is actually just chatbot. So I want to have chatbot 2, and I want to open that up with my, let's say, my Visual Studio Code. So we'll have that open right here and it's empty. Let's create our first file. So this is going to be index.php. Open that up. And what I want to do, I want to generate our HTML boilerplate right here. So let's do that. And I'm going to just hit tab, and you can basically pause the video to type this out. It's not really much. So it's only people that had emit on their editors that can actually do what I've just done. Okay, so let's call this something like dream interpreter up, just like that. Okay, and I want to copy this and put it down here, and basically I'll just want to have that in something like a div. So I'm going to just do div, and let's say we'll have a class that I'm basically going to set to something like container. So this is going to be container, and we can close out that div right there. So this is going to be div, and then within this place we can go ahead and create something like a header. So this is going to be header, just so we can actually use that to hold our h1. Okay, so I'm going to just throw in my h1 right here and then paste what I copied into the clipboard. So this is going to be h1. Let's close that right there, and we can also go ahead and then close the header right here. So this is going to be header, and that's just that, guys. So we have that in place. So the next thing I want to basically do is to go ahead and then I want to create a new div again within this particular place. So just right after the header, we can just do div, and no, I don't want to create a div in here. Let's just call this main. We're going to use main tag, and I'm going to create an ID on that, and let's go ahead and set that to something like a chart container. So we're going to just do chart chart dash container, okay, which is basically going to contain just like a box to contain that of our charts. Okay, so that's just basically this particular box that you are seeing right here, this box, okay, this box that you are seeing. So that's just what I've just created. So we can go ahead and then close that main div right here, not really main div but main tag. Okay, put the forward slash in here, but then within this particular main tag we want to create maybe two more divs within this place, and the first one I want to create is actually going to be that which is actually going to hold the chat messages. So I'm going to just do chat ID. I want to do ID right here and then set that to be equal to chat messages. So this is going to be chat dash messages, and we can close that, and let's just say div right here. So have that closed. So within this place is where both the chats from that of the input or from that of the user and the response are actually going to display. So let me put like a comment in here and say messages display here, maybe dynamically, okay, dynamically, something like that. Okay, so that's just basically what we're going to do right there. And then after that we're going to create another div that we're going to just call the input container. So let's just do div, and this is basically going to be a class, guys. So we're going to just say class and just call that input container. So this is going to be input dash container, and we can go ahead and then close that down here. So within this is where we're going to basically have our form, guys. So let's put our form in here. So this is going to be form, and we can actually go ahead and then maybe basically are we going to actually even need an action? So let me just do action right here just to test this out. Okay, so I'm going to take this away maybe in a little while. So set that to empty strings, and then go ahead and then set maybe the method right here, and go ahead and set that to something like post, and we can close the form. So this is going to be form closed right there, and within here we'll need an input. So this is going to be input, and let's say that the input is actually going to be the type of the input field is actually going to be something like text. So this is going to be text, and we can have a name for it so that we can grab onto that in our PHP or our backend language. So this is going to basically be something like chart, and after that we can have an ID, and we can set the ID to something like input, or let's call that user dash input, and we can have a placeholder finally right there. So this is going to be placeholder, and this is going to be, we'll set that to be equal to enter your dream here. So that is it. So finally we're going to have something like a submit button. So I'm going to create a button right here, and let's say that the type of the button is actually going to be submit. So let's set that to submit, and we can basically close out the button down here. So this is going to be button, and that is it, guys. So right here we're going to need CSS. So let's link to our CSS. This is going to be link well, and we'll set that to be equal to this right here. This is going to be style, and we need href for the location of the file. So maybe we're going to just call it something like style.css, right? So that is just that, guys. Let's go ahead and create this particular file that we have just added right there. So this is going to be, I want to add that right there, and then this is it, guys. All right, guys, so I have the CSS copied to the clipboard. There will be no need of me trying to type the CSS line by line. So this is basically going to take quite a lot of time if I try to do that. So let me paste the CSS in here, and I want to go through it. So if I go to the tab right here, so I basically want to add just quite a few lines in here first of all before we actually do that. If I do this research right here, I want to first of all set my border box. Is it border box or box sizing? This, I think it's actually called a box sizing, and I want to set that to border box. And after that, I want to set the margin, set that to 0, and then the padding is actually going to be set to that of the 0 right there. Okay, I want to save the changes, and if we go back in here, what I want to do right now is I want to copy this and then open a new tab and paste that right there. And I want to change this to, okay, it was actually chatbot 2, so I'm going to do chatbot 2 right there, and I open that up. And as you can see, it looks just like the original. So if I say something like hi in here and send it, you see that nothing really happens. Okay, so for instance, for us to just check if this form is getting submitted right or not, we can go to our index right here, and I want to throw in my PHP tag. So this is going to be PHP. Close that down here, and what I want to do right here is I'm going to just do if sorry about this. This is going to be on the outside, and what I want to do, I'm going to just say if $_server, and within this place we're going to just say something like maybe basically want to check whether it's actually utilizing a post method. Okay, so to do that, let's do request underscore method, and we basically want to go ahead and set that to something like post. So if it's exactly equal to post, this is request underscore method. If set it to a post, we can go ahead and then maybe do something like, let's say, dream sent, like that. Okay, so let's terminate this line save. And then if we go back right here, refresh this page and then hit on send, we see that we'll have dream sent right here. Okay, so that means we are utilizing post method. Okay, so let me just put this off right here. And what I want to do right now is, first of all, what we'll have in the form and the input is actually called a chat, right? I want to go ahead and get that message, and to do that, I'm going to just do that right here. I'm going to just create a variable that I'm going to just call message, and let's set that to equal to HTML special charts. This is just a security function. I want to also trim whatever input that is actually coming in right there. Okay, so within this particular place, we're going to just do $_. Let's say this is actually going to be post, and we want to throw in that chat in here. Okay, so with this, we've actually gotten whatever the person is actually typing into the form, and we'll have that right now. So what I want to do, I want to just check for if maybe somebody did not actually type anything into that form, and then the person is trying to hit on the submit button. So let's say if empty right there, and what you want to actually check if it is actually empty is actually going to be this, and let's put it right here. So if this is really empty, what do we want to do? We want to go ahead and then maybe echo an error. So and I basically want to put the error into something like an array. Okay, so for that, I'm going to just do if I do a response, and we're going to just do this. So this is going to be error, and we want to just basically set that to this particular message. Let's say enter your dream and terminate this line, but then we need to be sure that we'll set this above here. Okay, we need to have that up there, so we'll set that to empty arrays like that. Okay, so this is basically going to be a terminating character in here, but then we need to set this to an equality sign. This is just basically how it's going to be, empty array, but if anytime we have an error, it's going to populate right here. Okay, so and if we have that checked, I want to have an else part in here, which basically within the else part, that means that if the messages variable is not actually empty, what do we want to do? Okay, so what I want to do right here, I'm going to just do the integration. Okay, for us to really do the integration right now, what I basically want to do is to just copy and paste the configuration. I've actually been doing this quite a lot of times on my channel. You should be able to know how to do this, but I'm going to just basically go through it. If I paste that, in fact, I'm going to just paste the skeleton. I'm not going to add any parameters into it. So let's paste that right here, and this is basically what we're having here. So here we're just initializing that of the core session, and within these two lines, what we're basically doing is just set the compulsory SSL to false. Okay, we don't want to force over to this SSL. Here is where we want to bring in the URL. Okay, we want to bring in the URL, and here is talking about how we can actually get a return. Okay, we want to get some data back from that of the ChatGPT, and here just checking for a post request. So we're just basically making a post request in here. Then on this line here, we are basically going to get our post field. That's just the input data. Okay, the payload is actually going to come in on this particular line. Okay, then after that we'll have our headers right here, where basically the content type is actually set to application JSON, and then the authorization right here is actually going to be the API. Okay, so without wasting more time, let's try to populate these spaces with the things that we need. So if we go back to our browser, and if you go to where it's actually called openai.com, that's the first place you want to visit. And if you visit that, you want to come to where it says something like products right here, and then you click on API login. If you do that, it's actually going to open up. Let me just do that right now. Okay, so you click on this one that says API. It may prompt you for password or something like that. So let me see if it's going to prompt me. Okay, that did not actually prompt me, but it's just basically going to prompt you if you don't have an account with them and you are not logged in at the moment. So just go ahead and then sign up if you haven't actually signed up. And if you are signed up already, you can enter your credentials to log in. But once you log in, what you want to do is just go to, if you take a look at right here, I'm going to see where it says something like API keys. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to bring me to this section where I can basically take my API key right here. I have actually already created my API keys, so I'm not going to just create that here on this video. But as for you, if you are doing this for the first time, this is where you need to go. You just click on where it says create new secret key. Okay, or create your API key, whatever you see here, just click on it and then go through the prompt and then create your API key. And then you would need to copy down your secret key as it displays it for you on this page. Otherwise, you may find it difficult trying to copy it at a later time. Okay, so with that being said, that's just completely fine. Then the next thing I want to do is just go to the API reference. You can go to the doc right here or go to the API reference, but I love going to the API reference. So I'm going to click on this, and then this page is actually going to open up. So let me close this one. I think I already opened this before now. So this is the page right here. Okay, if you click on that API reference, and the section you just basically want to go, if you go down a little bit, you're going to see the where we have authentication, which is just basically talking about the API key. And the only thing you want to make sure you have in here is if you're working on the authorization key, you just want to prefix your API key with that of the bearer. Okay, we're going to do that as we move on this video. You just want to have bearer before your API key. So after that, if we move down quite a little bit, we're going to see where not here, not there, the models. You can just take your time to read all the things that we basically have in here. But I'm going to move to making requests. Okay, down here we'll have making requests right here. I just basically want to make use of this. If you take a look in here, this is just a response from that of the, the code for that of the from that of the CURL or COI. And all you need to do is you want to make your request to this particular URL. So I'm going to copy this, go back to our development environment, and I want to stick that right here. We're going to need that. And if we go back, the next thing we're going to basically need right here is going to be that of the post fields, which is the payload. So if we go back in here and down here, okay, you're going to see that we'll have an array right here that's basically going to need for us to set our model. And after we set our model, we're going to need messages array right here and the temperature if we need to set the temperature. This one is actually not compulsory. What I want to do right now is that I want to copy this from here, and then if I go back to my development environment within this place, remember I said that it's actually going to be an array, right? So I'm going to just throw in, we can do this by just doing array like that, then throw in our array right here. We can do this way, okay, but alternatively we can just throw in our square bracket. That's still also an array, so which is basically what I'm going to do right now. Okay, so if we have that, I want to go ahead and paste what I just copied into the clipboard, and that's just the model, and we're setting the model to, actually I'm going to use arrow here. So this is going to be quality sign, and then set this to be this. Okay, so we're going to just have GPT-3.5 dash turbo right there. So that's just what we want to set that to. So the next thing we want to do is to set the messages array. So if we go back right here, you see that we'll have an array called the messages right here, right? So I'm going to just basically need this. So I'm going to copy that, and then if we go back in here, and I'm just going to sorry about this, we need to, yeah, that's actually the right place. I'm going to paste messages in here, then set that to an array, and within this array right now, we're going to do quite a couple of things in here. Okay, so the first one that we need, if we go back to the documentation, is that we're still going to need another array right there, right? And we're going to basically set that to, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to do. Okay, so if I go back right there, I just want to do this right here. So within this place, what I basically want to do is really very simple. I want to first of all set the role for that of the system itself, and the system is in this case is actually going to be that of the ChatGPT. Okay, so I want to like make sure that I tell ChatGPT what it is or what I want it to do on my system. So I want it to act like something like an interpreter, a dream interpreter on my website. That's what I want to let it know right here. And to do it is really very simple. So let's put that on inside of an array. So this is going to be, I'm going to just throw in my square bracket in here, and I want to just say row. And what I want to do with the row right here is I just use an arrow, and I'm going to just say system right here. Okay, so if you just say system, which is just basically the API, okay, the API right here. Okay, and then we can use arrow again, and then go ahead. No, not really, we're not really going to do that right here, not an arrow, but rather we're going to just introduce a comma right here, and then we'll go ahead and then do content. Okay, so what is the content that we want to supply to this right now? So basically we want to tell ChatGPT that it is a dream interpreter. So let's go in, and if I throw in my quotes right here, and I'm going to just say you are a dream interpreter or interpretation expert. Okay, so I'm just basically going to call it a dream interpreter expert right here. Okay, and then if we have that right here, I'm going to just go ahead and then introduce a comma here, and we're basically going to need another line in here, which I'm just basically going to copy this line, okay, and then paste it on the next line. And I hope that you guys kind of get what I'm trying to explain right here. Okay, we're just trying to tell ChatGPT that whatever somebody types into this particular form and you get it, that you are a dream interpreter expert, just go ahead and interpret that. Okay, that's just what we're trying to train the system into doing right here. So the next one is, what is the content that is actually coming in? Okay, so it's actually coming from a user right here. Am I correct? So we're going to just say row, and then we'll say user, and whatever the person is actually typing, we're going to grab that and then put that or send that to ChatGPT. Okay, so for that reason, we're going to change system. Okay, because this time around, it's a message that is actually coming from the user. So we'll say user right here, and then we'll have content, and then within this particular place, we can just grab onto the variable that is actually called a message and then put it right there. But I want to do it another way, guys. So this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to just say something like a user, maybe let's say submitted, let's say the following dream. Okay, and let's say that the dream that the person supplied is actually going to be what I'm actually going to do right now. So if I do a backward slash right here, I want to go ahead and then let's basically put this into a quote, guys. So I'm going to just put what I want to do now into a quote. I'm going to paste the variable that I just copied earlier. Sorry about that. Maybe I did not actually copy that. Let's copy that from the top here and let's paste that within this particular place. Okay, so that's just what I have just done. Okay, so remember, we'll have single quotes outside and now we're having double quotes inside of this particular place. Is that correct? I think we need to just set everything here to double quotes. This is going to be double quotes, and this one is also has got to actually be double quotes right here. Okay, so what I'm basically trying to do is to just make sure that I concatenate onto this particular variable right here, guys. So if I'm actually not getting that right, you can help me out and go ahead and put that right. Okay, all right, so down here, or just right after that, we can just say something like provide. We could just say something like provide a detailed interpretation, something of that nature, or explanation. It can be just right about anything you want to type in there. So let's just say interpretation. Okay, so and it seems like there's something really wrong with this thing that we're having here, and I think maybe we basically need to have a backward slash in here. I think yeah, that's correct right now. Okay, that should be okay right now. So we have that right there. Okay, and then this is basically the last array on this particular thing right here. We can just take away that what is it called, that comma in here if we want to, and then down here we can introduce that comma in here, and we can set any other thing that we basically want to set in here if we want to. And if we don't want, maybe we just set a max character for them. Maybe we want it to like supply the messages like in let's say 150 characters max. The rest should actually get cut off. If you want, we can actually do that right now. In fact, I'm going to show you an example. I'll just do max and we're going to just do underscore tokens. Okay, so this just basically has to do with the number of words you want it to use to explain the dream. Okay, so just say 110 characters or 150 character right there, and that's just that, guys. So the next thing we're going to work on right now is basically going to be on this part where we're talking about the header. Okay, so you just basically need to go and get your API key. So I'm going to just do BRL right here, and then the next thing that needs to just come in right here is basically going to be the API key. Okay, so I'll just say paste, do paste here. Okay, so just do that. Okay, and once you do that, the next thing I want to do, I just want to get out of this right here, and I want to basically try to execute the call. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to just do results, and if you do result right here, I want to go ahead and then set that to be equal to this particular function, which is called the curl underscore exec for execution, and you just basically want to pass in your ch, which is your call handle right here. So and then save the changes. Okay, so this needs to be your own API keys. So I'm going to copy my own and paste it right here. Okay, so that's just basically what we want to do right now. So let me just get my and pasting right there. All right, guys, so I have my API key copied and pasted into there, and please do not actually use my own, guys. So in fact, I'm going to blur this out. Okay, so please don't use my own. Make sure that you use your own. So I'm going to save the changes right now. And then what we want to do right now is, so we basically want to see the output, okay, when it actually executes just fine. We want to see the output will get returned for us. And to do that, we basically want to do, or what we basically want to do is to actually go ahead and then try to print out this particular variable that is actually called a exec right there. I mean a result right there. So I'm going to just copy this and let's just do var dump, and we're going to just basically dump that result variable onto the screen. Okay, so make sure you save the changes right there, and then if we go back to this is basically what we have now, right? So if we go back to our browser right now and I want to go to our app right here, we'll refresh, and then I want to go ahead and enter a dream right here, and let's say I was maybe driving a car in my dream, but I don't have a car in, let's say, something like in real life. Okay, so let's go ahead and send this. All right, guys, so we do have a response back from that of the ChatGPT, and if you take a look at that, you see this is the ID and this is the chat completion created on this particular date. This is the model we are using. Okay, here we'll have choices right here. That's just basically where the, what is it called, the message that you send and that response, and that of the response that is actually coming from ChatGPT is actually going to be. Okay, if you take a look at the choices right here, you're going to see that is actually right there for us to actually make use of that from that place down to this place. Okay, so if we analyze this very well, you're going to see that we sent, I'm trying to look for the message that I actually sent. Maybe it doesn't actually send the message, but let me just copy this first of all. Maybe there are some certain things that are actually hidden right here. So if I go back to my development environment, I want to paste that right here. So let's say that this is actually going to be, I'm going to just do this and paste that within this, and then if we analyze that, we see that that still does not actually have the message that I actually sent. Okay, but that's just fine. Maybe I did not actually pay attention when I was actually learning this. Maybe it doesn't actually bring the message you send back, but it brings back the interpretation. Okay, and you can actually do this in such a way that once you send that message, you can save the message that you sent into your own database and even grab what is actually coming back from ChatGPT and also save it into the database. Okay, but this is just the reference. The response from that. So, say driving a car in the dream can symbolize your journey or direction of your life. Since you do not actually have a car in real life, this dream will represent your sense of control, independence, and then ability to navigate through life's challenges. Okay, so you just typically that's just how it is, guys. Okay, so then I noticed that the message kind of stopped here, and that's actually coming from the fact that we set the max token to 150. So if you count that, that should just like stop right here. If you don't want this to actually cut off, you can just make sure you don't add that particular line. Okay, so that's just basically what this is, guys. I'm going to take this away from this page. So the next thing I want to do is just make sure that we are able to grab onto this and then put it within this particular page. Okay, and to do that, I'm going to do it differently. I'm not going to just use the same page to do the processing. And you see the way that it just kind of happens once we type in our dream right here, and let's say this, you see that it refreshes before it sends us back something. Okay, you see how it is actually refreshing. I do not actually want that, guys. I do not actually want that. So I want it in such a way that if we hit on send, it sends you, it stays on the same page and then sends you back the response, okay, without any page refresh. So that's just what we want to do. So what I want to do right now is that I want to basically go ahead and then cut all the PHP code that we have in here. All right, so let's just go ahead and copy this from this page and right there. So this is what we'll have in here, and then I am basically not going to need a few of these things. I think I don't need an action and I don't need a method in here, and what I basically need is actually going to be, so let me just basically add something like an ID right here. Okay, of course I'm going to start making use of this within our code, within our JavaScript. Okay, but first of all, what I want to do right now is just add an ID right here, which I'm just basically going to call a chat form. Okay, this is going to be chat dash form, and save the changes, and then I want to create a new file right here, and let's go ahead and call this we could just call this something like api.php. okay, and I want to paste the PHP code within this particular page. Okay, and then I want to use this opportunity to restructure this and then take it a little bit further. Okay, so I want to enhance this to some other levels because I want to check for some errors. Okay, all right, so to do those things I want to do right here, we can actually start off by maybe working just on this particular place where we have, let me just still leave this open, but right here we can basically do quite a few things in here. I'm going to just use if statement to check for an error. So let's say for instance, if the code actually has any error, want to grab onto the error and then pass it onto the error variable. Okay, so to do that is really very simple. We're going to just say if this is going to be curl underscore error no, like that. Okay, let's make sure I type this correctly. This is going to be error, and I'll just say no like this. No, I think this is actually spelled like this. This is ERRNO. Okay, and this is basically a function, so we'll pass it that way, and then we're going to need the ch handler, which is our coin handler right there. We'll pass that way, and if we do that right now, we want to make use of our error variable, which we basically call the response. Okay, so this is going to be a response, and it has an index that is actually called the error. So we're going to just do error right here, and what we basically want to do is just go ahead and then set that to be equal to the message we want to actually output. Okay, which in our own case we're going to basically make use of the error that is actually coming back from that of the ChatGPT. So I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to just say error. So just say error, and what I want to do with the error is just really very simple. So I'm going to just concatenate onto the curl. So this is going to be curl underscore error no, like that, and that just see that line is actually going to do it. Okay, and I'm going to have an else part in here, so I'm going to just do else. So in case we do not actually have any errors, then it's now time for us to start grabbing onto the result. Okay, that means we're going to get the reply, and to do that I'm going to just bring back that variable that is actually called the result. Okay, so this is going to be a result, and I'm going to just go ahead and set that to, I'm going to just do something like JSON, because I want to convert that. Okay, so it's going to be JSON underscore decode, and what do you basically want to decode? You want to decode the result variable, right? So I'm going to do results, and let's pass in the result right here, and I want to introduce a comma, and I will set that to true. Okay, So that's just that on that particular line. And on the next line, let's terminate this line first of all. And on the next line, what we need to do is we just basically want to dissect this thing that is actually coming back from us, okay, for us, okay, this particular choices right here. We want to dissect it and then pick the response from this particular place. And to do it is actually very simple. So since it's an array, what we want to do, I want to just put that in an if statement. I'm just going to do if. Let's make sure we have if right here, and we want to just say is set, and this is going to be results. So if the result variable is actually set, okay, if it's set, and we want to go ahead and then grab onto the choices array, okay. So if you take a look in here, we see where we have choices. So I'm gonna copy this and then get into this place. Let's make sure paste that right here, right? So we have the choices right there. But then within the choices, we have our first message right here has an index of 0, and then our message right here. Okay, we're going to grab onto our message. So to do that right now is, first of all, we're going to like introduce the what is it called? I'm going to just introduce square bracket and then put the index, which is index 0, and then after that we have another array that is actually called the messages. Then I want to go ahead and go into the messages array and do messages. And then after that, the next thing that we basically want to grab is actually going to be the content, right? So let's introduce another square bracket, and then we can go ahead, and this can actually be any type of a quotes, guys. So even if I put double quote, it doesn't really actually matter. So we want to get the actual content. So I'm going to just do content, okay? So this line that we have right here is going to bring the content on that page, okay? So this thing that we're having here is basically going to grab onto this. It's going to grab onto that, and then kind of put that for us, okay? It's going to bring that out for us. So that's just what that line is actually going to do for us. So we have that right now, right? So we can go ahead and then terminate this particular line right here. Not terminate, but let's pass in our curly brackets in here. And what we want to do is that we want to create a variable. Let's set the variable to be equal to what I'm going to do right now is I'll just basically want to copy this up to this place right here and go ahead and then paste it right here, okay? And what I want to do, I want to first of all, I want to trim whatever that comes back from that. I want to trim that, put it in this way, and we can go ahead and then terminate this line. So whatever we get from the choices array, get the content, we want to put that into this particular variable, okay? I'm going to copy that variable. I want to put it just right at the top right here. Let's just say we have, if we have it, all right, so let's just maybe have it just immediately after this right here, and we'll basically want to set that to an empty array, just because initially it's actually going to be reporting error if that is actually not there, okay? So let's put that. So I'm going to just go ahead and put that in empty quotes, and that is just that on that particular line. So let's make sure that we terminate this particular line right now, and we can also introduce an else part right here, okay? So do else right here, and what we basically want to do, if we have any errors, we want to go ahead and put the error into the error variable. So this is going to be response, and we're going to just have error right here. And what message do we want to basically print out? We want to say something like let's say this is going to be invalid, because this one is actually coming from the API itself. We're going to just say invalid API response, okay? And we can go ahead and then maybe we can actually even concatenate onto the JSON. We're going to just do JSON, the code, or encode. I'm going to basically do encode on this one. I'm going to just encode the response, and we'll go ahead and pass in the result variable. So this is going to be a result, just like that, okay? That's basically what that is actually going to be for us. And then down here, if we want to close the what is it called? If we want to close the CURL, we can just do CURL, and we can go and just do something like close, and just like that, okay? With that line of close the stuff, okay? And then after that, we can down here we can do a couple of things in here. So we can grab onto the response. So this is going to be a response, and let's say that the response is actually going to be, I'm just going to say reply like that, and we'll go ahead and set that to be equal to reply, which is the variable that we have up there. Let's just say reply, okay? And then we can go ahead and then terminate this line just like that. And then finally, we can set, remember that what we're basically we're not going to need this within our JavaScript. We're basically not going to set something like a JSON. Okay, so to set the JSON, we need to just convert, okay? We need to convert to whatever that is actually coming back as a reply to JSON. So let's just say convert to JSON, okay? So to convert to JSON, if we do header right there, we want to change the content type, and this is going to be content dash type, and we want to basically set that to application JSON. So this is going to be, and we can go ahead and just do echo, and this is going to be JSON. This is going to be JSON encode, right? We're going to just do JSON encode, and we'll pass on the variable called the response right there. Okay, so this is going to be response, and we can go ahead and then terminate this line and then add exit right here. Okay, so have exit right here. So that's just basically how it is, guys, for as far as the PHP part of it is actually concerned, guys. Basically, we're going to just start working on the stuff right now. So remember that this is just the page we just finished creating. And if we want to basically, let's say we want to test this out right now, because the way that it is right now, if we try to, let's say, we enter one of the following dreams and then hit on send, you see that it's a kind of a like stop right here. Okay, so we're going to pick up from this place and then see how we can actually use Ajax to actually pass the information to the next page that we want it to actually be. But if you want it to like go there so that you can actually test whether everything works or not, you can, if you come right here, you can just set the method, set it back to, let's say we're going to just set this back to something like posts. Okay, and then the action, you can just set the action. Let's say this is going to be action. Let's type the action correctly, and we set that to, of course, the page we just created right now, which is called api.php, right? And then save the changes. So if we go back right here and refresh, and let's go ahead and then enter just one of the following dreams and then hit on send, you see that it's actually going to process that particular thing in that particular page. Okay, you see it takes us to that page, api dot this right there, and then you see that it kind of interprets the stuff right here. Okay, however, I think we'll have an error down there. This line, we'll expect exactly one parameter. Okay, that should be just basically coming from, if we get in here, right here, this line. Okay, I think we need to pass our ch handler right here. This is going to be ch. All right, so that will basically solve that that issue right there. Okay, so that's just that, guys. So what we basically want to do is really very simple, guys. We want to use our JavaScript to be able to work on this, which we have right here. Okay, this particular page. Okay, want to just do that, and to use our JavaScript is really very simple. What I want to do right now, if I go to this place, I want to link to a page I haven't actually created, but let's just do that right now. I'm just going to see script, and let's say that this is actually going to go to, so this is just basically going to go to this page. I'm going to just do src right here, and I set that as a source. And what we basically want to do right here is just going to, we're going to just pass in script.js like that, and we can close the JS right here if we want to. So this is going to be just script, just like that. Okay, and what we want to do right now is to create this file and then begin to tap our script files. Okay, so let me create that right now, and let's open that up, and then we'll have our JS file opened right here. So what we want to do first of all is to, every time this particular page is loaded, talking about this page, I want to go back. Every time this page is loaded, I want to prevent what we'll call the default submission of the form right here. And to do that in JavaScript is very, very simple. We're going to just do document. I'm going to just do document, and this is going to be dot get element by ID. And what's the ID on that particular form? Okay, so if we go back to our index, and remember, I'm going to take these away, guys. So we really do not actually need these. Okay, but if you want to leave that, that's fine. So we just need this ID right here. Okay, so I'm going to save the changes and then go back to this place and then pass in that particular ID right now. Okay, that's just the ID that we need, and then we want to add onto it an event parameter. So to grab onto that, this is going to be add events listener. And what we basically want to do, just first of all, we're going to listen for a submit, right? So we're going to just do submit, and we're going to introduce a comma, and we're going to just run a function right here. So let me run a function, and let's say that the function is actually going to be, I want to just do we'll just do event right here. So let's pass in event, and what we basically want to do within the event, guys, right after this particular place right here, what we basically want to do within the event is really very simple, guys. And I'm just throwing in my stuff right here. Okay, so I think we'll have an error right here. So okay, I think I get. Okay, so we need to, I'm going to take away this right now, and I really need to pass in that particular curly brackets right here. So this is how it should just basically be, guys. So within this place right now, we're going to pick this particular event right here called events. I've seen quite a lot of people pass something like E right there. Okay, if you want to pass something like E, you can also do that. Okay, but let me just take this, and then I'm going to just paste that right here, and we're going to just do event dots. We're going to just say something like prevent default. So this is going to be prevent default like that, and we can pass in our brackets right here, terminate this line, and with that line alone, it's actually going to prevent default submission. Okay, so I'm going to just do prevent, like that. Okay, so that's just basically what that line is actually going to do for us. The next thing I want to do is just really grab onto the input value. Okay, so I'm going to just do, let me create a variable right here that I'm going to just call const, and we're going to just say const like that. And then what we want to just basically do is just say user input. Okay, we want to work on the user input, and then we want to go ahead and set that to be equal to, this is going to be document dot get element by id. And basically what we'll have in the input field, I want to check that right here is actually this particular ID right here. So we want to grab onto that. And then if we go back right here, I want to go ahead and then paste that. So this needs to be in quotes, guys. So this is going to be in quotes. And that's just that on that particular line. Of course, what we need is not just to get the input. We want to get the value that the person actually types in. So for that, we're going to do dot value like that. And we want to trim whatever that the person actually put in right there. Okay, so let's take away this. This is not node value, but just value. Okay, so we just want to do dot value. And then we're going to just do dot trim to trim out white spaces. Okay, so that's just that on that line. And then after that, we're going to use if statement to check if any if that input field is actually empty. What do we want to tell the users? Okay, so we're going to just simply do if user, which is the variable that we have up here, right? So I'm going to just make sure that we'll grab that, put that right here. If it is actually let's say it's exactly equal to empty strings, what do we basically want to do? We can alert a message in here. So we can just do alert, and what do we basically want to tell them in the alerts? So we want to tell them to like put a message in there. So we say something like please a message or a dream. Let's just call that a dream. Okay, that's just basically what we want to say right there. And then there we can just pass in return like that. Okay, so that's just that on that line. The next thing I want to work on right now is would be to clear the input. Okay, because once we type something into that particular form, it actually remains there. Okay, so we want to clear the whatever that is actually there after the form has been submitted. So to do that, we're going to just do document, and this is going to be dot get element by id again. And that's just basically going to be the same ID that we just worked with right now, which is actually going to be this, right? I'm just trying to make sure that I put that right there. So this is actually going to be user inputs, right? So this is input, and that's just what we'll have on that line. We can terminate that line. And what we basically want to do, not really terminate that line, guys. I think we need to do dot value. So this is going to be dot value, and I want to set that to empty strings. Okay, so that means that I want to just clear whatever that is contained in that particular place. So next thing I want to do is just display user messages. So let's put a comment here and just say display. Okay, and then to display the user messages, what we basically want to do, I want to just say display. This display user message right here that we have, this is just basically going to be a function that we haven't actually created, but we'll create that in a moment, guys. So we're going to just throw in our bracket right here, and we can just do user input, which is a variable up there, introduce a comma, and we can just set that to true. Right, so let's terminate this line. Okay, so remember that we're going to actually create this function down there at a later time. Okay, but for now let's just do this. Okay, and the next thing I want to do right now is we want to like use ajax, okay, to make a request to the php backend. Okay, so to do that, let's say backend. Okay, so and then our backend is actually this api right here .php. That's just basically our API. So to make that request right now, what we basically want to do, I'm going to just create a variable that I'm going to just call const. I'm going to just say const, right, to create a variable, and I'm going to just say xhr. Okay, and I want to go ahead and then pass that through this new object, and we're going to just say xmlh requests right there. So I'm going to just basically grab onto that new object and then put it in this particular variable right now. I'm going to use it for something as we get down right here. And the first thing I want to do is to just open that API.php, which is this particular thing we're using as our backend, right? So to do that, we're going to just do shr, which is the variable that we got up here, shr right here. And what we want to do is just do dot open. Let's make sure we do dot open just to open that file up. And within that open method right there, first of all, we have actually known that to be a post method. We want to make sure that that's actually a post method, right? So we're going to just do post right here. Okay, because we want to make a post request, and then after that we want to introduce a comma and then tell it the file that we basically want it to check, which is going to be api.php right there. That's just the file I want it to just check, and you can introduce a comma just passing through like that. Okay, so that's just that on that particular line. However, The next thing we want to do right now is on the next line, we want to set our headers. Okay, so let's terminate this line first of all. And down here, we're basically going to go ahead and set our headers. And to do that, we're going to just do XHR like that. And then we're going to just do dot set request header. And then we can pass in our brackets in here. And the request headers we want to set, the first one is actually going to be that of the content type. So we're going to just say content dash type, and we'll introduce a comma in here, and then we're going to basically set that to application JSON. I think that's just the right thing. So because it's actually going to be a JSON that we kind of expect to see on this particular page. Okay, so we're going to just say application / and not really application JSON, but this is going to actually be X dash, and we're going to just do W dash, and this is going to actually be form dash URL encoded. Okay, and then we can go ahead and terminate this particular line right there. All right, so on the next line, we want to just make sure that we make use of already stated change, which is an event. So we want to pass that to X. This is going to be just, I want to just pass SHR right there, and we're going to just do dot already state change. And if we have that right now, we want to go ahead and run a function in here. So this is going to be function, and let's say that is basically going to be an empty function. And then if we do that right now, the next thing we want to do, let's throw in our curly bracket right here. So within here, we want to check if the already state contains a statement that is actually called a done. So to do that is really very simple. We want to use an if statement to do that. So I'm going to just do if, and within this if statement, what I want to do right now is I'm going to just do XHR right here, which is the variable up there. And what I want to do, I'm going to just pass dot ready state like that. And what I basically want to do is I'm going to just pass that. I'm going to just say if it is actually equal to what we'll basically get from, the HTTP request, okay, which is just right here. Okay, so if it contains a word like that of the done, so let's do that right here. So I'm going to just pass in right here, and we're going to just basically do dot DON, which is done right there. If it is actually done, what we basically want to do to the script, okay, we want to go ahead and then check for something else in here, which I'm going to just still use if statement. So this is going to be if SRH, and I'm going to just do dot status. Let's say that the status right here is actually, let's say, is equal to something like 200, which means that everything works just fine. What you just basically want to do, let's go ahead and create a variable. Okay, so I'm just going to do const, and the variable name I want to create is just response. So this is going to be response, and I want to go ahead and set that to the following method right there. Okay, so we're going to just do, this is going to be JSON, and we're going to do dots, and we're going to just do pass method right here. And then within this path method, you're going to just basically need this XHR that we have up there, and then we're going to just do dots, and we're going to just do response text right there, which means we're just basically going to get the text. Okay, so that's just that on that line. So what I want to do is to just go ahead and then terminate this particular line in here. And the next thing I want to do right now is to go ahead and then also use if statement to check if. So let me just go ahead and then use if statement in here and then get onto the response right there. Okay, so to get the reply from that of the ChatGPT API, I want to go ahead and then do this. Okay, this is going to be if, and let's say we do not actually get a response, so we have error with the response variable right here. What do we basically want to do? So if not response right here, what do we basically want to do? And of course, we're going to just do dot error right here, and then we want to pass in another condition right here that we'll basically want to also check, which is actually going to be the reply. Okay, so I'm just going to say reply, and I want to just say dots. Of course, this should simply be something like response first of all, and we're going to do dot reply. Okay. And then if we do that right now, the next thing we basically want to do is that within this particular bracket right here, what we want to do right now is actually to go ahead and then display whatever error that is, or whatever message that actually comes back for us. Okay, so for that we're going to just do display, let's say display message, guys. And this is still the what is it called, a function that we haven't actually created, guys. So I think we mentioned that up there, so we're going to just create that in a jiffy, right? So let's just do display message in here. And we're just basically we're going to need just response right here. This is going to be response dot reply, comma, and we're going to just say first right there. Okay, so that's just that on that particular line. Okay, so what this simply means is just display, let's say display both response. Okay, that's just what is actually coming from that of the ChatGPT, like that. Okay, so we'll have that right now. So we need to create an else part for this. The else part is actually going to be, what we want to do is just basically console log the stuff right there. Okay, so to do that, we just basically want to do that. Let's just do console dot error, and if we do that and then we found anything, we want to go ahead and then let's go ahead and pass in right here. So I'm going to just basically say error from, this is going to be backend. Let's do backend right there, not background. So we'll have backend, and we can introduce this right here. Then let's introduce a comma, and then we can bring in the response error right here. So this is going to be response dot error, which is actually the error that we kind of get back from the stuff from the system here. So that's just that on that line. So the next thing I want to do is to just say something like display. So we're going to just do display message right here. What do we basically want to display? We're going to just do something like, we're going to just say error right here, fetching data from that of the API. So you can just basically enter whatever message you want right here. Okay, so this is going to say please try again. And the reason that I'm actually kind of passing this is in case maybe there is something like a network error or something of that nature. We can actually like display this kind of a message. Okay, try again later right there. Okay, so we're going to just do dot, and we can introduce a comma right here, and then we can just pass in false. Okay, so this is going to actually be false like that, and then we terminate that line. So that's just that. Okay, so the next thing is we want to basically see how is it that we can actually create an else path for this particular status right here, which is 200, right? So to do that is really very simple. I'm going to just do else, and within this else right here, what we basically want to do is also console log the HTTP status code. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to just do console dot error, and we're going to just go ahead and then pass in the error message in here. So this is going to be HTTP error, and we can go ahead, let's introduce a comma, and we're going to just say HT XHR right there. Okay, and we're going to just do dot status, which contains our status. All right, so that's just that on that line. The next thing that we'll basically want to do right now is really very simple. That's just to also display the message. So we can just basically maybe copy this line and then paste it on the next line. Okay, so we'll have that on the next line right here, and just basically typically going to be the same thing, right? So that's just that. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and then terminate. We need to terminate this line right here from this function that we have right here. Okay, so if we introduce the terminating character right here, and the next thing I want to do right now is really going to be very simple. We also need to terminate this one also right here, so that we don't get an error. Okay, so let's now create this particular function, display message right here. Okay, so I want to create that down here, and to do that, we're going to just use the key. So let's make use of the key term called a function, and we basically want to name that, what to have on the clipboard, and then we can actually introduce our brackets right here. All right, so the first thing we're going to need right now is that we're going to basically create a variable that we're going to call chat messages. Okay, so let me create that, and we'll just say const and call this chat messages, and we want to go ahead and then we're going to just do document right here dot get element by id, and we want to basically go and get the, if we get in here, we have, that is an id we created called the chat messages right here. So we want to copy this and then pass that right here. So that needs to be in quotes, guys, so put that in that particular place. So that's just that on that line. So we're going to terminate that line, and the next thing we basically want to do is the message element. We want to create a new div for the message element, and we're going to just do message. Let's just do const. This is going to be a variable, and we're going to just basically say message, and we're going to just say element, and we'll go ahead and set that to be equal to, this is going to be document, this is going to be document dot create element, right? So dot create element, and then which element do we basically want to create right here? This is just basically going to be a div, so we're going to just do div right here, and let's make sure, okay, yeah, so that's just basically correct. So we have that right there. So the next thing I want to do is to go, we want to make use of this message element right here. We want to make use of that right here. So to do that, we're going to just do, I want to just do, sorry about that, just do message element, and I want to do dots text content, and what do basically want to print out right there? Okay, we basically want to print out a message, so we're going to just basically set that to message like that. All right, so if we have that created right now, we need to, let's work on the next line, right? Okay, so we just basically we're still going to make use of that of the message element, right? I'm going to copy this. So if I copy this right now, and I want to just basically grab that of the user. So if I say message element dot text content, and this time around I'm not going to just do text content right here. What I'm going to just basically do is to create a class. So for that reason, I'm going to just do create class list. I'm going to just do dot add right here, and basically what do I basically want to add? I want to add something like a is user. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and just do is user right here. I'm going to just, once I get out of this particular place right now, and I want to throw in my ternary operator right here, which is question sign, and I want to go ahead and then grab onto the user message. So this is going to be user dash message, which is actually the class that is actually present already on the front page. Okay, so we'll have that right now, and we're going to just introduce this right here. We're going to just say colon, and we can go ahead and then bring that of the both message. So this is going to be both, and we can do dash message like that. Okay, and remember that we're basically going to need these two parameters right here. So I'm going to copy this, put that right here, then introduce a comma. The second thing we need is actually going to be is user right here. So let's go ahead and pass in right there. And that's just that on those two lines, right? All right, so that's just what that is right now. It can actually work if we go ahead and then run this way. But then I want a situation where if maybe you send your first message and it gets a response, if you send another one, I want it to append the second message instead of clearing the whole thing in that particular box. Okay, so to do that, we're going to do that right now. I'm going to just do chat messages right here. Okay, if I do chat messages, I'm going to just do dots append. This is going to be append child, and we can go ahead and then append the message element. So this is going to be message element like that. Okay, so with that line, we'll be able to append the messages to the messages that are already in that particular place. Okay, so after that, the one more thing or the last thing I want to do is to make sure that I'm able to scroll to the specific section where the message is at that moment. Let's say you send your first message and it's actually within the viewing area. If I send another one, I want it to scroll away from the first message that you have in there and then scroll to the viewing area of the second message. Okay, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna just do, let's just put a comment here and just say scroll to maybe bottom. Let's call that something like bottom. Okay, like that container. Okay, so to do that is really very simple. All you need to do, we're gonna just say chat. Let's make use of our chat messages right here. So if we do chat messages, you want to go ahead and then do dot scroll. This is going to be dot scroll, and we'll just do tab. Okay, dot scroll tab, and you can say equal to, and we can just say chat messages like that, and we can do dots. This is going to be scroll, and this is going to be height. Okay, dot scroll height, and then let's save the changes right now. So that's just basically what it is right now, guys. So if we go to our development environment or our browser, we want to refresh this page right now, and what we want to do is to go ahead and then pass in our first message. Okay, let's say I was in dream and had a child. Okay, and had a child. So let's hit on send, and it seems like that isn't actually coming in. So we want to check our console to see where the error is actually coming from. And if you take a look in here, it says reference error, display message is not defined. So display message is actually not defined. So we need to find a way to do that. That's actually happening in the scripts. All right, so if you get into your script right now, let me check the line again. The line is on line 13. So if you check line 13 right now, so basically if you take a look down here, this is our function called the display message, right? How about display message right here? And if you take a look on line 13 right here, oh, we misspelled this right here. I think we misspelled this, guys. We misspelled that. I want to copy this function right here, and then if we move to the tab right there, we want to go ahead and paste that on that particular line. So if we save the changes, and then we'll go back to the browser, and I want to refresh, and let's go ahead and put the message back, and then click on send, and then we'll have reference error, user input is not defined. So user input is not defined. We need to find out how to solve that issue right now, and that's also happening on line what is it called 13, the same line. So right here user input is not defined. All right, so if we go back and we take a look at user input right here, I think we have that up there. See that what we're having here is not the same thing as what we're having here. I think I made that mistake, guys. So I want to copy this right now and then use it to replace this. Paste it right here and also paste it right here. Okay, so let's save the changes and let's go back and then refresh this one more time, and let's put that right in and hit this. All right, so for us to take care of this one right now, this type reference error, I think we should be able to get that on this line right here. So if you scroll down, where we'll have this line message element to create a class list, and I will add right here. So we're going to just basically take away this. Okay, we're trying to just assign that, so that's just incorrect. Okay, so this is just basically what we should have on this line. And if we go back to, if we refresh right here, and then we'll say let's put this right there, and then hit on send, and then we get the message, okay, from the user right here. So but for some reasons we are not really getting the response. Let's find out why the response is not actually coming in. And if we go back to our development environment to find out. All right, so I think we basically need to let's get into the work environment, and I'm thinking of our responses from right here. If you take a look in here, right here, I think this is incorrect. So let's try to make sure that we correct this. First of all, this is SHR, not SRH right there. So let's put this in here and then save the changes. Is there any other place where we'll have that kind of error right here? I think that should be just all, guys. So if we go back right here, let's try to send another message right here. I'm gonna click on send, and we got this right here. But as for the response, we still haven't actually gotten the response back, guys. So we need to and it's not really reporting any errors on the console right here. If we check the network and let's check chatbot 2, and we'll get this, which is 200. For whatever reason, the message is actually not actually displaying right here. So we need to still find out, guys. All right, so at this point where it's no longer reporting an error, it's a kind of a harder to debug that right now. But if we go to, since we're having issues with the reply, we can just keep on taking a look at the replies right here. So basically, okay, so this one I think we'll have it corrected already. Let's make sure that this one is SHR right like that, and then we have that. But then we need to also take a look at this place where we have our API right here. And if you take a look at our responses right here, we're basically getting, all right, so we have message. Okay, so I think this should just basically be message, not messages, right? I think it should just basically be message, not messages, guys. So let's try to return this to message, and then we want to try that and then see whether it's going to actually give us what we want. So if we go back and let's refresh this page, I want to try one more time and then hit on send. We still get our own message back, but we are not actually getting the responses from that of the API back, and it isn't actually reporting any errors right here. Even if we check the network tab, so we're getting 200 right here. So what I think will basically, because we have status of 200 okay right here. So what I'm thinking right now is that if we go back to our code, I think we haven't actually called, we haven't actually sent the data. If we check our index right here, you see that we have this chart to be the name, and we basically need to call that and then send that through that our Ajax request right here. So to do that, I think we can actually do it maybe right down here. We can actually do that, and then to do it, we can just do SHR right there, which is the variable we already created earlier, and we can just do dot send. Let's do dot send, and then we can actually throw in our parentheses here, and then we can just chart, which is the name that we have on that form on the HTML page, and then we can do just equal to. Okay, and right here we can just concatenate onto this particular method, which is actually called encoded URI component. Okay, so this is encoded URI component, and it's actually methods we can pass this in right here. And basically what we want to send is the input, right? We basically want to send the input, so we should be able to just do input right here, and basically user input, guys. So this is going to be the user input that we want to send into this particular place. Okay, so I believe with that we should be able to at least see what the error is if we send any data again. So if we do this right now and I will send the data, you still get this in here, but then we are not actually getting anything within this place. But if you take a look in here, you'll see that we are now getting a response from the API, and I mean the JavaScript code saying that unexpected token S, and maybe probably the PHP backend part of it is not really sending us maybe the right format of the JSON. You know what I'm going to do? Let's just try to, I'm going to just do console.log, and then I want to basically log the text. So let's put it down right here. Okay, I want to paste that. Okay, what I want to do right now is just log whatever that I'm getting from the console right here. I want to log it and see what that actually looks like. So I want to, let's just make sure to tap this over and then save that. And if we get right in here, I want to try this one more time. Let's add this message and then send this, and I expect to, if we check here and even here, Let me try this again, and we still get that sort of error. But what this is just, I think that we are basically not really getting a JSON back from the API. So the file we're getting back is not truly a JSON format. It's not in JSON format. The responses that we're really getting back from that of the what is it called, the API. So let me even get into the API right here, api.php, and we can't even see any errors right here. Not seeing any useful message. um all right guys, so what I'm gonna do, I want to go back to our php file, which is right here. I'm getting on our php file right here. I see that we do have, because I actually checked this with ChatGPT, and from the research that I did, they say that we shouldn't actually have any other echo within this particular page except this one that is actually here. Okay, but I'm not quite sure if var_dom is also an echo, since it also prints out a result. I don't know whether it's actually going to also give such an issue. So what I want to do right now is just comment this line out first of all, and then save the changes. Okay, then I want to go ahead and then try it again. Maybe commenting this out may just really help us. Okay, because it could be seeing this as something like an echo statement. So if we go back right here, and I want to refresh this page, then let's go ahead and enter a message in here and then send that. And we got this right here, but we still haven't actually gotten our message. Oh yes, it's back, right? So wow, all right, so the message is now back. I think it's just we needed to just make sure that we, in fact, if I comment this, save the changes, and then I'll try to send another message in here. Let's say I was in an accident. Let's make sure type accident correctly in my dream. Let's see what is going to happen. And basically seems like we do not actually get any response right here, and even if we're ever going to get, it should just basically be an error, guys. So if I let me refresh it before I do this, I think it's still taking a look at that based on what we had earlier. So I had an accident, and just say I had an accident, that, and send. You see that the error, it kind of comes back, guys. So that's just basically a proof that this this var dump right here is actually forcing the stuff to actually return a format that is not actually JSON. Okay, so I want to comment this out, and then if I get back right there, that error should actually be gone. So every time we make we send them a dream right here, maybe we say something like I saw my dead mom in my dream, and then we'll try to send that. You see that we'll basically get a response back, guys. So we'll get a response back. So it's actually coming from that particular var dump, and plus this particular one right here. Where is it? I think yeah, in the JS we finally kind of send the data through the Ajax from this particular line, guys. So that's just that. I did not actually do any other modifications to the code, so you can just go through the code, make sure you pause, and then type the code out. And I'm just basically gonna also put the code in GitHub so that you guys can actually get that from GitHub. Okay, so that is it for the script. And right here, this is just basically what we have in this page. Just commented out the var dump right here, and you can pause and then type the code, or just check the description for the links to get in the code on GitHub. So that is just what that is, guys. So I know it was a bit a tough one, and finally we actually got that. So congratulations to you guys if you actually got it up to this level. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye for now.